Welcome. I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and welcome to my YouTube channel. And in today's video, I am doing a review of Kidnapped starring Halle Berry. But before I go any further, I need you to click subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, and leave a comment, and share this video because doing so helps me get my channel and videos out there to a much broader audience. This movie was a recommendation from the 13th Wolfman, who is also here on YouTube. So go leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, because he deserves it as well, because I wouldn't have seen this movie if it wasn't for him. Because when the movie finally ended and the final credit rolled upon the screen, is that I thought this movie was a fun time. Is the movie perfect? No. But was it fun? Yes. I mean, this movie was a lot of fun. I was engaged from start to finish. So, when the movie was over, I like to read the trivia, and I found out this movie is 15 minutes shorter than the theatrical version. So I'm like, they trimmed it down for home video release, and I'm like, I'm just racking my brain. I haven't looked into it. I kind of don't want to, but I'm just thinking like, I really don't want that 15 minutes in the movie. I really don't want to see that version of the movie. That rarely happens with me, because the version that I've watched was like, it was very fluid. It flowed very well from start to finish. Like, it starts off in the diner. Halle Berry's a waitress, single mom. She takes her kid to the park after her shift was over, after kind of like a really bad shift. Not really, really bad, but the customers were just being very demanding and just being a pain. So she's like, she finally had a breaking point, smarts off to one of the customers, and then she doesn't get fired or anything. She just leaves with the kid after her relief has came, and she spends the day with her kid at the park. And there's a couple red herrings, I think. Like, there's this really creepy guy sitting on the bench, and she's talking to him, and it kind of lingers on him for a minute. Like, I've seen enough movies to know that ain't him. That's not our villain or villains of the story. And so she's doing this thing, like playing Marco Polo, like, so she can keep an eye on him, like, audibly, even though she may not be able to see him. And so, which is awesome. And we get to this point where the movie really kind of kicks off. It's where she has to answer the phone call. She's in the middle of a custody battle. And so I think she's not going to be able to get full custody of the kid. And so she's very distraught. And so her phone dies. She walks back to where they were sitting. Kid is gone. And so so she's kind of backtracking a little bit, because this kid's like, I want face painting, I want ice cream. So she's checking all the spots that he might have wandered off to. And she's not there, and she's starting to get really frantically and frazzled and like scared and all emotions all at once. And then she just happens to catch a glimpse of the kidnapper taking the kid and dragging him off into this car, and then she's full force, like she's on foot chasing this vehicle. She loses her phone in the process, and a few other things, but she's on her off. She's en route, and that's where this movie starts, and that's where this movie really shines, is that this, like, a good chunk of this movie is a car chase sequence, and it's like Mad Max Fury Road kind of stuff. Like, it's very intense. Like, it's not expertly put together like Fury Road, but it's just as engaging, I think, because like she's like trying to keep up with the vehicle. The vehicle is like swerving in and out of traffic, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna hit one of the other people on the road. And that, like, eventually does come into play a little bit into the movie, but it's just like, I'm just so engaged into this. And then there's breather moments where like, okay, we have to like settle down the audience for a minute. And that's where like she kind of like comes face to face with the kidnappers, and it's like we want $10,000. And so they have this little moment where they're in a tunnel and everything. And I'm loving that. And she ends up like kind of getting into this like close quartered combat, kind of like using like the retractable, like the reclining button on the van and everything. And this is probably a great commercial for that van, because that van takes a beating in this movie. And when the van is like a character in this movie of its own. When the van finally dies, you know, it's like, I salute you, van. And there's a really great moment with Halle Berry in the van, like after like another confrontation with the villain. She kind of pats the hood of the van. I'm like, I love that touch. I think that's probably my favorite moment of the movie. Is like her and this van has gone through hell and back, and then she's like past the hood of the van. I'm like, perfect. I love it. And then the movie's tone shifts. You got this really intense car chase sequence, and then the movie gets a little predictable. You know, she catches up with the villains, and then gets into this kind of like really intense stealth mission. You know, and just as intense as the car chase sequences, this movie is. The stealthy parts of this part of the final climax of the movie is just as good. And I think that's what I think that 15 minutes, I keep going back to that. I'm like, I don't think that 15 minutes would have made this movie better. I think what they cut was necessary, because it's like, if it was more the cliche kind of stuff, like, oh, her bills are past due, she's a single mom, or she's constantly dealing with the dad, and like, I have a feeling that it's probably like, oh, how dare you lose our kid, you'll never see this kid again, you're like, yeah, like that kind of stuff. And like, I don't think that's what was needed. I think, the whole movie is Halle Berry's character's journey to, like, she will do anything to make sure her kid is safe and comes back home with her. And that's perfect. I think that is perfect. And like, that's all you need to know about this movie, is that she's willing to do anything to protect her kid. And there's this really cool moment in the movie, where the kidnappers are threatening her kid, by like, almost like, we're going to dump him on the side of the road, you know, like, we're going to push him out of this moving vehicle going 70 down the highway, you know, and then so it's like, and they're like, just go away, like, do not, like, go off into the exit and don't follow us no more. And so she takes the exit, and she, instead of like going to take the ramp up, she just keeps going and going and going, and she's following this, like, it's like the side of the road basically, and she's just like, no, I'm not doing it. And so she just like veers back onto the road, and then she catches up with him, and it's just like, it's perfect. That was kind of a small breather moment as well, but it was just like, yeah, she's like, that kid's coming back home with me. And that's kind of like a character change as well, because she goes from like very helpless to very like, she's getting stronger as the movie goes on. And like, I know this is not a movie to really go too in depth with everything, but Halle Berry is really good in this movie. Like, and the villains are really good in this movie. Like, you'll have seen them in other movies before, but like, our main character is Halle Berry, and her portrayal of her character, like a single mom doing anything to get her kid back. So that's really all I gotta say about this movie. It's like, she's willing to run on foot. She's willing to like use her vehicle to save other people, you know, like that comes into play as well. And that's where this van really starts to take a beating, when she has to start protecting other people as well, and because the villains of the movie just don't care. And so that is it for the movie Kidnapped. I just want to say thank you to the 13th Wolfman for recommending this movie to me. It was definitely worth the $6 that I bought for it, and just, yeah. So that is all. I need you to, once again, click subscribe, hit the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, and share my videos. That helps me. Yeah, you know the spiel. So like I did at the beginning of the video. So as always, I am the one and only MSJ, Max for short, and thank you.